Hey, hey. Hi, guys. Welcome back. All right. So, quick announcement here. I am going to be going live and doing some card pulls for subscribers, probably right around either Easter Sunday or on Monday. I'm going to let you guys know and give you an update as to when I'm going to make sure that I do it. I just want to get a chance to say thank you to everybody. I know I've been away a lot this week. I'll just give you guys a brief rundown. Yesterday, well, you guys know on Monday, my windshield was shattered as I was driving by a golf ball that struck, and so anyway, I was unable to drive it because of the shattered windshield. And then yesterday, I was able to go over and get it repaired, and I thought it was going to be a good day after that, but instead, after a morning appointment and a long drive, and then Aries ended up in a little doggy ER. And then I had to follow up with his vet this morning. Anyway, Aries is doing really good. He's fine. He's, home and well. But anyway, just a very difficult day. However, what I want to say is that despite all of the upheaval and everything, kind of throughout the week, I have had such amazing kindness. I also had all kinds of work being done on my internet, and it turns out for a year and a half I've been struggling with my internet because it's been a node issue. So I have had workmen out. I have had everything you can imagine, and everybody has been so incredibly kind, so incredibly patient, so professional. I just cannot get over how nice human beings can really be and how supportive. And so I just wanted to pass that along. And so that's why I want to go live and do some card pulls. Thank you guys for I really haven't been around much at all this week. And I'm hopeful that now things will smooth back out. Still keeping a watchful eye on my baby, but in his tummy troubles. But in any case, things are going much, much, much better. And so when I got home last night, finally at 11:30 after the ER, I was just too drained to even pop on and give you guys an update. So thank you for waiting for me. But I want to tell you guys how much I appreciate you. And I've been sending a lot of thank you cards this morning also, to everyone who's been so amazing with some of the problems we were facing this week. All right. I hope everybody's having a good week. I send everybody protection, love, and support. I'll keep you guys updated on whether it's going to be Sunday or Monday that I go live. Now, to turn our attention to this energy for starters, we begin with the Justice card, which is Libra. So this is a collective message, not zodiac specific, but we came right out of the gate with the Justice card followed by the Sun. This is beautiful, Leo. Okay, so with that in mind, we do have the energy of something that has been wrong, has been understood, realized by an individual, or it is that something that is wrong is being course corrected. And the Sun can illuminate things, but it can also be just very, very, very happy. We may have a turn of beautiful events in someone's life. Let's take a closer look at that Justice card. We have a Prince of Wands and we have the Death card. Okay, so massive change. If one of the things that had been wrong had been an individual who wore a mask, who was always scattering their energy, was unable to focus and commit to one path forward, that is changing. And it could be that this person has taken a look in the mirror and recognized some of their own behaviors. Let's take a look at the Sun. What is the Sun representing there? King of Sacred Circles. We definitely have somebody who I think just grew up. They went from a knight to a king. And not only that, from our most scattered knight to our most stationary king. So tremendous switch. I mean, there couldn't be a bigger contrast. To see this energy of, change from I'm all over the place, I commit to nothing, to wow, I know exactly where to commit. I feel like this is huge spiritual awakening, huge spiritual growth for a character. But instead of it being like, oh my God, I can't believe how, what have I done? I've been so, unstable. Instead of somebody, looking at it like that, they simply have matured. They simply have stepped up. This isn't like shame and bad karma. I mean, maybe they've had bad karma up until this point, but the way to change that is to take on a sense of stability, a sense of responsibility, and now their life is blossoming. Yes, this could be the story of a divine masculine, simply because that's what we see here, but please do be mindful, I don't actually read for genders. So could be either or. let's take another look here. This feels like it's one person's journey, and it looks like we have a divine masculine who might very much wish to kind of take the apology tour, express themselves, express, that they're sorry for mistakes that they made, ask for some forgiveness, explain. This is somebody definitely having a do-over in life, and it's never too late. Now, they may be significantly more mature at this point, and that could be in age or that could just be in emotions, but we certainly have someone who has changed a great deal. Tell me about that Judgment card. Are they actively asking for, forgiveness? Are they Tower in the reverse? Hang on, we got to go one more. By the way, we do have Scorpio and we've got Aries coming in. We've got a Page of Wands in the reverse, Strength card, and Lovers. Okay, so we have Leo and we have Gemini as well. I feel like whatever the instability was that this character displayed in the past, I feel like one thing was always true no matter what, which is this person has always loved, we'll say, her. They could have been in love with a Leo or a Gemini, but their ego wouldn't let them express it. Would not, cannot, will not. And this is the person that they're coming in to say exactly that. Like, I feel like they're getting out of their own way. And this is no small thing. This is not, I want to tentatively test the waters, or I want to, just put out a little bit of like, hey, how's it going? This is not going to be any mild or indecisive amount of action. This Judgment card is like full blown, hey, I gotta tell you something. I gotta get this off my chest. All the stuff my ego wouldn't allow me to say before. This is, I don't even know if this person was out dating other people instead of dating the one person that they really wanted. They may not really have been pursuing too many other people, but the big thing is, and it is not to dismiss other people that they may have dated, but other people didn't matter. This person mattered. So their heart was only invested in one space. That's what comes across to me. Their heart was invested in one person all this time, even if that was the thing they could not, gag out of their mouth to say out loud. Ego wouldn't allow it. We got that Five of Pentacles in the reverse. They just want this character to know. They want this character to know. And they may be laying themselves down as an offering to this individual. Now, it looks like it's a feminine that they want to talk to. Like, if you would have me, I would give you everything. I would give you the best of me if you would let me. Here's the thing. We do have to go back in time. We do have to look at this just a little bit closer. Let's change decks because, obviously we're talking about a character who has changed dramatically. They have grown tremendously, but what's already happened. So we do need to look back at the past just a little bit, because I don't know that things just get swept away, swept under the rug. And it's like, oh, sure, no problem. All is forgiven. Everything's over from the past. Although in truth, how else do we ever get a chance to have a fresh slate and behave differently if there can't be, a new beginning? But in the past, they did not love themselves. They did not give love to anybody else either, which makes sense because with the Prince of Wands and that Justice card there, I'm not surprised that they weren't able to express love. I think that they also had no peace in themselves. We have the Dove that should be here, but it's when this card is in the reverse, we don't have peace. We don't have a love offer. We don't have any of that consistency. Instead, it was like they always needed to leave. They always needed to go away and go find themselves. This person was probably not wanting or willing or capable of committing to any long-term relationship. See, I didn't really get that they were like a player or somebody that was out just like running around dating everybody they could get their hands on. I never thought that. It always felt like this is somebody who was trapped by other things. Yes, they had ego, too much ego to say that they love somebody perhaps, but it didn't really feel to me like they were just a cheat. I mean, they might, that's why I was like, maybe they dated different people, but it didn't really impact their heart, or it didn't really, they might have whatever, tried flirting with other people or something, and stayed away from the one that they actually had emotion for. This just doesn't come across like somebody who was out there sleeping with everybody they could. And sure enough, it says the thing this person was dodging was like deeper emotion, but I think it's because they had no peace within them. I actually am going to read this a little differently and say they themselves were the ones who actually had gone through some pretty significant things that were wrong in their own life that possibly made them a runner, made them dodgy, made them want to stay away from anything that would be too consistent. Almost like, I don't want to get captured again. Or maybe they were always running from traumas that they had. So all I can say is that in the past, they were not able to love themselves. They were not able to find peace in themselves. So how could they possibly have a peaceful relationship with anyone? So they didn't. That was all something that maybe they knew. Even back in the day, they knew someday I'd like to have peace and a beautiful relationship where I can feel whole and I can feel stable and I can feel, like I can be in one space, but not today. Not today. Like I really feel like this character had so much that they had to work through. Universe, you want to weigh in on that? Yeah. World card in the reverse. It was not the right time. This person was still trapped in a cycle. What was the cycle that they were trapped in that they could not close out? Yeah, talk about no peace. We had the 9 of Swords. We had the King of Swords. The amount of stress that they had also in knowing that this is no good. The whatever this repetitious, stressful cycle is where I feel either unlovable or I almost think that this is like somebody who was perpetually like rattled. They may not have necessarily given off that vibe, but I'm picturing somebody who had like nervous habits, nervous tics, things where they were always kind of like fidgeting, but it was more like an expression of the stress that they were feeling inside. Like that alone would be exhausting to be constantly, or let's think of somebody who's like, I'm always like watching who's coming into the room because I'm nervous, like a wary, well, you can see the stress here. This person didn't even sleep well. Maybe they were, I just feel way too much energy, like hyper alert, the kind of stress where you're turned on with stress all the time. And for a while, it might feel like adrenaline high. It might feel like, they talk a lot or they talk fast or their mind is really quick. They could have been really charismatic, but I feel like everything was like, don't let there be a gap in conversation. Don't talk about anything real. Don't slow it down. Keep the jokes coming. Keep the fidgeting happening. Keep life moving. Don't sit down and calm down and take too long in anything, because then you might have to like let your real thoughts back in. All of this just feels like these kinds of stresses that they used methods to keep at bay. And that the method they used was to stay zipping around, stay really active, push thoughts to the back of your head. Don't ever talk about the more real stuff that you're worried about. That seems to be what this character was doing to cope. And that's what needed to change. And even if they knew it at that point in time in the past, the active change that needed to happen, it's like knowing it and then doing it, that probably would have meant dealing with some of these stresses and dealing with whatever this unfinished cycle, this painful energy, this trauma type energy. It would mean having to actually deal with it head on and transform it and get beyond it. And that's work, and that could have been difficult, and that could have been scary at that point in time. Even if they knew that's what needed to happen, I still feel like they were dodging it. And they knew that they were dodging it. But they also knew at some point, I will deal with this, but maybe I'm not ready to at the time. And certainly what they weren't ready to deal with it in the past. Okay, so now let's jump ahead and say, but we know something's changed, right? We had the Death card, we had the Sun, we have the King of Pentacles. What is it that changed that helped them to either face it, deal with it, handle, whatever this journey was that they absolutely had to take to get their space in their heart clear? What happened there? We have a 4 of Swords, a bunch of healing. Okay, so this definitely could have been generational wounding. We see that there's little babies growing in the tree of life. This definitely could have been a situation where it was a very, very old hurt that they had to heal from. We have the Strength card and we have the Ten of Swords. Wow, that's probably the best combo of cards I've ever seen for healing, right? They healed at a very profound level. It was definitely a family related hurt and pain. And if we look back at that Justice card, we can see the tree roots here as well, right? So definitely at the original hurt, the original pain, the original problem came from, in this story, please remember these are fictional, but in this story, the original pain started from like the family roots and then were like inherited or passed on. And that could have been through bad patterns that were taught or trained, could have been through inherited things, or just through, the environment that this character had been raised in. But they had the courage. There's that butterfly again, just like we saw with the King of Swords. There's that butterfly. I do think somehow, some way, they changed for her. Whomever she is, there's that Strength card, right? Twice. They changed for her. Even though they didn't do it while they were around her, they didn't do it with her, they changed because they met her. This is no small thing. This is not them saying, oh, I'm going to run around and cheat on you, and then later on I'll casually sashay my way back in when I'm, an aging player and I just don't want to play games anymore. No, that's not what this story is. This is a character who was not capable or ready to deal with what they needed to become a good partner. At the time that they first knew her, they knew that they were going to have to work on some stuff in themselves, and they decided to do the scary thing, do the hard work by themselves, working on themselves, but they did do it so that one day they could actually maybe approach and say, so, hey, listen, I'm sorry I couldn't be with you at that point in time. I had stuff I had to, I knew if I was ever going to be successful with you, I had to work on some stuff in me. It feels like with that Strength card coming out twice and that Ten of Swords, the thing that changed is they were willing to work on what they needed to because they met her. Why did she inspire them? How did she inspire them? There was something here about bravery and courage, Emperor, because she really loved them. She made them feel like an emperor, and I think they wanted to go ahead and feel that way themselves. She believed in them as an emperor. You know what? What a beautiful thing to say, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to work on things in myself because this person sees me as better than I think I am. Let me work on what I feel is not balanced in me so that I can be that person that they see me as. That's pretty beautiful. We have a Two of Pentacles. We have the Six of Swords. I think at first they probably were like, this is crazy. She doesn't know I'm tragic on the inside. I'm no emperor. But then I think that they got thinking about it and they were like, if she sees me that way, is it possible that I could actually move on from some hurts and pains to be that emperor? You notice that it's like they got a glimpse of how somebody else looked at them and then thought, what if I could really be that person? What if I could move on from hurts and pains and I could actually see myself the way she sees me? That is a beautiful, inspirational reason to heal oneself. To say, wait a second, somebody else saw me as better than I see myself. Well, they're pretty smart. I don't think they're tripping. I think they must have something there. I think maybe it's true. Maybe I could heal some stuff and then maybe I could be that person that they see me as. Temperance. This was a huge thing that helped them to kind of like paint the landscape of their life in a whole different way. The energy that she gave them, the impetus that she gave them, the vision that she had of them, they started to see themselves that way. And that gave them the confidence to go ahead and do what they needed to heal themselves and become the person that she saw them as. This is them returning. This is them coming back in with, I'm sorry that I couldn't be that at the time that you saw me that way, but I'm that person today. I got a lot to offer you today. Last card. What does that mean? I'm like, holding my breath. I'm so hoping that this works. We have Action of Pentacles. This means it's been a long time coming, but guess what? Their journey has never been over. Their journey has always been continuing, and it will continue. but I think this time they can go on this journey together. That's really exciting. I'm going to leave that there. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. Thanks for giving it a thumbs up. Bye.